Hey, I'm Scotty Rock.
And I'm Nate Danger.
What are we talking about today, Danger?
Today we're talking about the world's most disappointing albums.
Living it all the way. Time to fly, hit the sky like a...
Okay, so like bands.
Let's define a band.
Okay, here's the thing. Bands put out some great albums and they put out some terrible albums. Right?
Sometimes,
right? So every band, if they're around long enough, they end up putting out an album that's not so great.
Maybe.
For whatever reason, right?
Sure.
Don't you think?
No.
No? You think
Aren't there bands that have just great albums?
No. Name one band that doesn't have one album in their discography that like isn't like frowned upon.
No.
Can't do it, bud, because every band has one shitty album. Seriously. And it's all like a...
Come on!
Yeah, like your public perception of it. Okay, here's the thing.
Every band
has a terrible
one
record.
terrible album?
Yeah. And if they don't, then they should have put out another album.
Maybe.
You know, they broke up too soon.
Nice.
So, okay.
So we're going to talk about five. We're going to talk about 5 albums that were a true disappointment to most fans.
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing. What makes an album disappointing to fans?
Shitty songs.
Terrible songs, bad production, rushed timing. What else?
Lots.
New members, maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe your career's sort of peaked and you're on the down and you're like trying to recover.
Drugs.
Drugs? Yes, please. Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 albums today. We're going to talk about why they're disappointing,
Yes.
where they're at in the band's discography,
Sure.
why people perceive them as terrible records,
That's right.
and why they're actually, Nate and I, Danger and I, consider these records actually pretty cool.
Yeah. What we like about them.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Everyone's like, these records are the worst, and we're like, we love them to some degree, right?
Yes.
Why is that?
We can find highlights in all of them.
Yeah.
And you know what? Lots of these disappointing albums, they develop a little bit of a cult following, right? And there's a lot of people that do actually enjoy this, but I think for some true fans, there's lots of people who absolutely hate it.
If you're a guy that loves deep cuts on an album, hey, a band's terrible album has tons of gold for you, right?
Yeah. Potentially, depending on the band, depending on... What are we talking about here, Scotty?
Oh, okay. What are we talking about? We're going to talk about... Are we talking to list all the bands?
No, we're talking about what's our first band we're going to talk about. We'll talk about 5.
The first band that we're going to talk about is Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy.
Chinese Democracy.
Oh, yeah.
Why was this such a disappointment to so many fans?
Well, I don't know, man. If you're like... well, we're pretty much on the same page somewhat. But I think Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2 was a slight disappointment coming after Appetite for Destruction. Okay, Gene R. Lies was in between that, right? But I was expecting like a 12-song album, which is bangers, just like Appetite. And I think they had that in those 2 albums. They could have put it into one album and really like rocked it out. But the problem with Chinese Democracy is we had to wait 10 years for it, right?
20 years.
20 years, was it?
I think 20 years. Man.
It was a long time. It was only like none of the original.
When did it come out?
I don't even know.
2010?
Was it 2010?
When did it come out?
Oh, fuck, I don't even know, man. I'm gonna have to check that one.
Thought you did your homework.
I did, but I can't. I can't.
I always rely on you to do the math.
Don't ask me dates. I don't even know when my wife's birthday is.
Come on, man.
2008.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Probably 2008, 93.
Holy shit, that was like 14 years, hey? Like
15 years?
Yeah. That's a long time to wait for an album, hey?
That is a long time. So, I mean, as far as this album goes, I think this album was doomed to fail.
Yeah.
It was going to be a disappointment regardless, just because of how long it took the album to come out.
And there's so much hype behind it. Like, hey, new album coming out like next week. And it's like, Axl's fired the band.
Yep.
And everyone's like, oh, that sounds like what?
How many players? So they went through guitar player after guitar player after guitar player on this album. We all heard that it was going to be this revolutionary album, this masterpiece that he's been working on, right?
Yeah. I feel like this is his like Elton John moment, hey? Because he's at the piano, he's crafting these songs with no choruses, and he... and he's...
Do they have no choruses?
Well, okay, he has a ton of choruses on the song, but like the Shackler's Revenge is not a phrase that's found in the song. You know what I mean? It's not like
yes.
Shackler's Revenge, or it's, it's not like
But that's
Sweet
a
Child of
great
Mine.
chorus.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like none of these songs are like the song titles in the chorus, except for like maybe a handful. But
Okay.
yeah. So like Axl comes out and he's like, Slash is like, here's a bunch of songs. What do you think for our next follow up? I want to do like a guitar album, and Axl's like, no, these songs are not going to cut
Who's
it.
Slash?
Slash,
He's
the
not on
original
this album.
Guns N' Roses album.
What are you talking
But
about?
he quit. He's
He's
the,
like, I'm going to talk about illusions. I'm going to talk about
hang on a
Slash.
second. He quit the band because Axl vetoed his submissions. He said they're not GNR enough, and so Slash puts out 5 O'Clock Somewhere,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Slash's Snake Bit, which it was his follow up to Use Your Illusions.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a guitar album like GNR could have been, right? But then Axl was like, no, I want to be more ambitious. I want like different sounds. I want like overly distorted guitars. I want strings. I want like all the stuff going on in the background,
Yes.
right? And the band was like, I want a rock and roll album. So what happened?
Oh, I think Chinese Democracy is a rock and roll
Well,
album.
that's it, man. Okay, so everyone said this album
Whoa.
sucks, but when you listened to it, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, but this album, to me, first off, what doomed it to fail was timing.
Yep.
The hype, right? Everyone talked about this masterpiece that was going to come out. So regardless, it was going to be a disappointment to some just because of the amount of time. It will never live up to the expectations.
Yep.
The other problem I think that this album had was there was some leaks, right? You had leaked tracks.
That's right, I forgot
So
about
you
that.
had leaked tracks on Napster, LimeWire, whatever, and they weren't high quality leaked tracks. They were
terrible
pretty
demos.
bad versions,
Right.
right? So that was a little bit of a downfall. And, there was going to be that disappointment just because Axl's the only person. And I mean, you can argue that Dizzy Reed, he's there.
Hang on, Dizzy is the original member.
Yeah, Dizzy is your second original member, Dizzy Reed.
Yeah.
And he's the new guy. So it was doomed that, it was going to be a letdown.
The problem when I heard it was like, I'm like, I don't see anywhere that Slash could have fit in with this album. His tone wasn't there. The solos didn't have those long bends and those notes.
But
and
he
the
didn't
melody.
have anything to do with this album. He
No,
didn't
but
have anything to do with the writing.
But that's just it. Hey, like leaving him out sort of took some of the Guns N' Roses out of Guns N' Roses a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right, but that aside, so one of the things I always take a look at and say, okay, well, if this was an Axl Rose solo project,
Yes.
would it have been more well received? I
I
think it would have been.
You think so?
Of course.
Yeah, I think the GNR name.
The letdown is Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I guess.
That to me is the letdown.
But as an Axl album, everyone would have been like, this should have been a GNR album. Maybe. Okay, but here's the thing. Like, when I heard it, I was like, I like this album. Like,
I think-
the guitar stuff was, like, weird at first, but I'm like, the songs are great.
The songs, I think, okay, so there's some highlights. What's your
some-
highlights?
I really like Better. I really like Chinese Democracy. I like the James Bondness of the album. You know, where it's
James
like...
Bondness.
Well, it's, like, super ambitious, and there's, like, lots of, like, emotional drama going on
Yes.
in the mix.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right?
I think the guitar playing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There is a ton of great stuff. Now, lots of it, some fans, I think, too, were a little divided because he went a little more of that industrial type route.
Yeah, modern rock,
Things- yeah.
overly, like...
New rock, Shackler's Revenge,
Yeah.
tunes like that. Yeah.
The guitar tone was like overly distorted, which was weird. Hey, because Guns N' Roses is like a raw guitar band, right? So when
Marshall and a Les Paul.
yeah. So when you start adding like those high gain scenarios, hey, it really sort of
Lots
like,
of that
Yeah.
guitar tricks.
Yeah, guitar tricks. Yeah, man.
But look at the solo for Better. You talk
man.
about, okay, so there's an outro solo, and it's
Yeah.
one of the tastiest things ever. And they had lots of good guitar players. So they had Bumblefoot, Robin
Frick.
Finnick?
I can't remember.
Flick Dick?
I
I
can't remember. Yeah,
think it's Finnick, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. Finnick?
Finnick?
I don't know. I don't even know.
Who else did they have on this album?
Buckethead,
Buckethead, yeah.
right? DJ Ashba.
Oh, DJ, yeah.
And I think he was in the
He's
touring
cool.
band.
He's a cool guitar
He was in the
player.
touring band. It was weird
Yeah.
because when they toured this album, they had 3 guitar players. Hey,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. I saw him on this tour.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Sebastian Bach and Danko Jones opened up.
Oh, really?
That's right, buddy. Sebastian.
I bailed because I was like, it's not. Where's Izzy? You know
Oh,
what I mean?
but Sebastian Bach, man.
I know.
And he
But-
came out and he opened with Back in the Saddle.
Really?
Yeah. I'm back. in the saddle again.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's right.
Okay, so Chinese Democracy, like, there's like a lot of good songs on this album. I wish people would have given it more of a chance. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a ton of great songs.
There's they still play a couple of the songs live. I'd be interested to hear like the current lineup of GNR's version of Better and Chinese Democracy.
I've heard them.
I haven't checked them out online. I'm sure it's out there, but
it is out there.
Is it like sound any different or
no, not really.
They kind of stick to it, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They stick to the songs. Those were I think there was 3 tracks that they played when I saw them live.
Yeah.
There was Chinese Democracy, Better, and I think they might have done Street of Dreams or something like that, but I can't really remember.
Yeah, there's some good songs in this album. I know what's interesting.
I don't actually think there's a bad song on the album.
Yeah. And it's just like a perception, hey?
It's just different.
It's just different, but the songs are solid. I think what's weird too is like the chorus, like Sweet Child of the Mind references Sweet Child of the Mind in the, you know what I mean? Welcome to the Jungle, right? But like Shackler's Revenge doesn't. So a lot of the songs.
You just got it out for Shackler's Revenge.
Well, that's it. No, I was listening to it. Like, he doesn't even. Shackler's Revenge. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me, but you know, whatever. But here's interesting. I read Matt Sorum's book, and he said
you weren't a big Tool fan, were you?
No. But Matt Sorum was like, you know, like.
Why doesn't he say schism?
Yeah, right. No, Matt Sorum was like saying that I don't even know why I quit the band. I was so pissed off at Axl, but when I heard the album, I kind of wish I would have like stuck it out because it was a great album. Yeah. So you had a guy on the inside, so it makes you wonder what the demos are like. He's like, what I was jamming on and demoing that sounded nothing like the completed album.
Well, that's how I feel. I feel like some of those leaked tracks were not that great.
Yeah. So that would do it, man. So there's a GNR album right there. So Chinese Democracy.
Disappointing,
and I like it.
What are we talking next, Scotty?
Okay, Danger. We're going to talk about another band that I know you love, and they put out a ton of records. And this one is generally perceived as their weakest in their discography.
And?
We're talking about this band right here, Kiss.
Kiss? What are you talking about, Kiss? They always put out good music.
Always, except sometimes.
Except sometimes. Arguably, look, there's even a lot of Kiss fans that'll tell you they got a bunch of crappy albums.
Yeah, right. You know what's interesting about Kiss is like even on their terrible albums, they're actually pretty good. Like I love Unmasked. You know what I mean?
Oh,
but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Music from the Elder.
Music from the Elder.
Music from the Elder, 1981 concept album.
Yes. Okay, so big disappointment for many.
Dynasty and Unmasked wasn't what they wanted it to be. So they're trying to plan their big comeback with a new drummer album, right?
Unmasked came out after the Elder.
No. Unmasked was right before it.
No.
Yeah. It was Dynasty, Unmasked, Double Platinum.
You're right.
And then the solo albums.
Double
Or somewhere.
Double Platinum was in 78.
Oh, was it? Double Platinum and the solo albums were 78. Unmasked was 79. Elder was
Unmasked was 80.
80? Okay. Elder's 81.
Elder's 81.
Yeah, man. But yes. I love Unmasked. Anyways, that's besides the point. Hey, Nate, you got any more friggin' beers there, bud?
Yeah, man. Are you busting in on this video?
Yeah, man. I just was like watching this video for so long. I got so damn thirsty.
All right.
Yeah, man. What's the deal?
Well, we'd like to take a moment to let you know that this episode has been brought to you by Rebellion Brewing.
Blast off!
Blast off!
Yeah, man. Rebellion Brewing from Regina, Saskatchewan.
From Regina. A great brewery.
Let's give her.
And you know what? Blast Off is a delicious Pilsner. Is it? Am I giving you the wrong information?
I don't even know what this is here.
Check it out, man.
What does it say on the front?
Hoppy Pilsner, German delicious.
German Pilsner.
That's right. Get at her.
One of my favorites. I love a good German Pilsner, you know what I mean? Cheers to us. And cheers to Rebellion. Thanks for being awesome. So what was Kiss thinking? Music from the Elder. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so let's talk about what the public didn't like about it.
Well, there's no like a party all night songs. There's no like picking up.
There's no nothing like what people wanted from Kiss.
It's not a Kiss album. Like it's not like lyrically and musically.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Phantom of the Opera. You're right.
Yeah. This is and I mean, okay, so Kiss, they wanted to be adventurous, right? They're coming off, there's always talking about the inspiration being, oh, well, look, Pink Floyd put out The Wall, and we want to do this, and granted, Kiss, they got a lot of Beatles influence, and they liked some of the weird stuff that the Beatles were doing, and maybe some of that got incorporated here, right? hey, they were writing a soundtrack for a movie that didn't exist.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Gene Simmons had this idea for a movie, and he's talking to Bob Ezrin, who has produced the album. And Bob
right.
Ezrin was at his peak of cocaine addiction. So can you imagine Bob's just like, and he's like, oh, Gene, great idea. Like, great idea. Let's hammer this. Like, medieval space aliens come down, fanfare. He's just a boy, and we're going to just like put this concept album, and he's going to be like doing this and that. You know
But then Bob wasn't even that involved.
Yeah, because
He wouldn't come in, and they're sending him tapes. There's all the stories about sending him material, and he's not even coming in.
Yeah.
He's not on site, and he's just like, whatever.
So they went to Toronto to record the album, and then Bob Ezrin went somewhere else and did more cocaine.
Yeah. So it is a weird concept.
Yeah, weird concept. But hang on a second. As a concept album, it's probably one of the greatest concept albums. As a Kiss album, it's probably one of the worst Kiss albums.
Well, I can
So you got
see
this, like,
why
thing going
a
on.
true Kiss fan would not like this album.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this album.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, like so when I first heard it, it wasn't that great. I was like, "Where's the Kiss?" Right?
Yes.
Right. But now,
Everyone was.
yeah, everyone was. But now, like in hindsight, I was like, I love this album. I went through a concept album phase where I was like comparing concept albums to albums, and The Elder was like, this is so good. It checks off so many boxes for a concept album.
I can really appreciate
Yeah.
what The Elder is.
Yes.
Now, also, they kind of mixed up the track listing
Yeah.
from what it originally was, right?
Which probably didn't do it any favors, right? But I see why they did that. But it also made the other songs not make as much sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some highlights on this album, Scott?
Oh man, for me personally, I love Only You.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
I think, first off, Gene's voice is amazing.
Yep.
I love this song. What do you think? Doro Pesh
She did a
cover.
version of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool
That's
too.
cool. Yeah.
And there's Dark Light. Okay, that's Ace Frehley's contribution, but that's one of his better ones. Yeah.
Yeah, great song.
I and The Oath, I thought were like pretty solid
Solid
Kiss
tracks.
songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like half that album actually, like 4 or 5 songs versus, you know, kind of some of the weaker tracks. I'm like, it's a pretty good album, right?
Hey,
And
I
even when
like
we
it.
talked to Todd Kerns there, he said, because they did that live, he said, what if we just did this album with the rock stuff in it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
And it was like, he said it was an amazing thing, because all of a sudden you realize what these songs are made out of, right?
So, that being said, look, there's some diehards out there that
Yeah.
really like The Elder.
Yeah.
So, Todd Kerns and his band, obviously, they did a live performance, and we should put the link in the video channel.
do it.
But also, Frankenstein created a whole
Oh, man.
concept, script, and everything with
Yep.
this, which is fantastic. Plus, did a whole rework of the songs and everything. It's pretty awesome.
It's awesome. Like, and I think he was trying to stick to that original version of The Elder, where they had the
Yeah.
spoken word bits. I don't know where you got all that stuff from, but it's awesome.
It's awesome.
I
And
think it's like the
we'll put a
legit
link
stuff.
to that in the description as
And
well.
I like how that album would like sort of go along, and then it like plays a intro from the one song, like it's like a musical almost. Hey, like
Well,
they
that's the
reference
thing. It
like
is a musical.
themes in the thing, and have the spoken word parts.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man. A lot of Kiss fans are starting to like love this record. They're starting to realize the songs are amazing. The production is fantastic. Like
I like it.
Gene Simmons' bass tone and Under the Rose and
Oh,
World Without Heroes is like boom.
Under the Rose is a great song.
Yeah.
Only You obviously is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love Just a Boy. I do.
I do, I agree
It's
too.
fantastic.
Yep.
They got Mr. Blackwell.
Yep.
The first time I heard Mr. Blackwell, I was sold.
I know.
I love it.
I you know what I love about that song is that little bass echo when he hits that one out.
Oh, yes.
And it just like Gene Simmons has the best bass tone. And that's such a minute
And-
part to love about that song.
Yeah, but he
eh?
sings awesome on this
Yeah.
album too.
Yeah.
I really like when Gene does that clean vocal.
Yeah, I do too.
And I just think the whole album is great.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand why fans thought this is a disappointment, right?
And it was weird hearing Kiss do an instrumental. Although they did it on Kissing or not Kissing Time. What's the instrumental?
Love Theme from Kiss.
Oh yeah, Love Theme from Kiss. Yeah, so that it was weird hearing Kiss do like an instrumental on The Elder, but
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, man. So okay, so what's that? That's 5. What do we do? Chinese Democracy, music from The Elder, Danger. What's our next one?
I love it. thought you were doing a countdown.
Oh, are we doing a countdown? No. I'm trying to remember the albums we're talking about. Okay, so here we are, number 3. Not a countdown, but we're going to just talk about our next album.
The next album. What are we talking about, Scotty?
Oh, Danger. We are going to...
Speaking of 3, we're going to talk about Van Halen 3.
Oh, yeah, nice segue.
There you go.
Yeah, man, I didn't see that one.
Talk about a disappointing album.
Yo.
Well,
Yeah.
you're the Van Halen fan in the room.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
You know what? Okay, I remember working at a video store, and they played it on Rockline. The world debut of Van Halen 3 with new singer Gary Cherone.
Gary Cherone.
I loved Extreme, so I was pumped. I love Van Halen. I was also pumped. And
Yeah.
they played this album to a live studio audience, and it got like more and more awkward as I listened to it. Because it was live, and they're like,
Really?
what did you think of this album? I'm like, oh, you mean that 7.5 minute long song that went nowhere? I didn't think much of it. Thanks, Eddie Van Halen.
Well, this is a weird album.
It was a weird album, yeah.
Okay, granted, I can appreciate that. I actually really like this album.
Yeah, and you're not as much of a Van Halen fan as me.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I could actually put this ahead of some of the Sammy Hagar releases. But,
Nice.
hey, look, I like Gary Cherone.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe I just like weird albums. Maybe
Yeah.
I like disappointing albums. 'Cause-
it's possible.
You can totally understand why this is a disappointment to many Van Halen fans.
Yeah.
The songs are long. In lots of cases, they don't really go anywhere. It takes a long time to get to certain choruses. Now, choruses are pretty catchy
Yep.
in some cases.
Usually.
But sometimes the verses, they didn't no one give any direction to say, hey, we need to put the brakes on. We need to turn this 6.5, 7-minute song into a 4-minute song to really
Absolutely.
keep the audience involved.
Well, I was disappointed. Hey, not only like the production was weird and too much clean guitar things that go nowhere. You know what I
Really?
mean? Like the intro was like a minute long and it doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was like, cut it all out. Like, where's the producer?
I liked it.
And Michael Anthony only played bass on 3 songs. Alex Van Halen didn't play any drums.
Nope.
So it's like almost an Eddie Van Halen solo album.
Didn't Eddie play drums on one
I think
track?
I think he did. So like the singer comes in and he's working with Eddie Van Halen and he's like, Ed, you know, should we shave off like 4 minutes of the song? And Ed's probably like, probably like, no man, it's amazing. Listen to my guitar tone.
I don't think Gary Cherone was telling Eddie Van Halen what to do.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it, hey. And then certainly the producer wasn't dialing it back. You know, like we should like revisit this arrangement. You know, because some of the riffs, some of the songs have stuff that could be awesome. Hey,
There's a lot of good stuff.
there's a lot of good stuff in there.
There's a lot of stuff I like on this
But
album.
Van Halen's song shouldn't be longer than 3.5 minutes.
Well,
You know, and then
no more than 5.
yeah, absolutely. And like it's got to go somewhere. So I don't want to hear like a minute and a half of like plinking on your clean guitar tone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, and then okay, the instrumentals were weak. There's 2 of them on there. Cut those off. The Eddie Van Halen song that he sings, cut that out.
I didn't mind that.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I just thought like he's just high in the studio playing piano.
You know what I felt a little bit listening to this album, and I've listened to it a number of times. Just revisited it a couple days ago.
Yep.
Gary Cherone, he kind of sticks in that wheelhouse for his vocal. Like
Yep.
he, for such a great singer, he doesn't do a lot of movement in his vocal lines.
Well, it must be weird for him, hey, after like jamming with Nuno, who's amazing. But
Oh,
they probably
yes.
have more of a, like a thing going on.
A
right?
working relationship.
Right. Whereas like Eddie's probably like, sing over this. Like, what do you got? Here's my riffs. I'm not gonna rework these riffs. You just gotta come up with something over top.
Yeah.
I-
But maybe Nuno too is a big portion of who writes the melody.
Yeah, could be.
Right?
Could be, yeah. That's
So-
right, yeah, because I felt like he was just kind of barking out lyrics, you know, and there's no real melody. In some songs.
That's what I mean. It just
Yeah.
feels like it's all kind of sitting there, and lots of the songs it's the same
It's
notes.
the same kind of
Yeah.
bandwidth of range, right?
Yeah.
Frequencies or whatever. I found it interesting, hey, listening to it, I felt like he really kind of hits that Sammy Hagar vibe a little bit.
Really?
Too often.
Maybe.
He's like a good, like, in between Dave and Sam, hey?
Yeah.
But lyrically, he's too, like, serious.
So how many singles did they have on this album? One?
Like 3.
What'd they release? They released New World.
Fire in the Hole, New World, and Dog Water, or whatever that one.
Dirty Dog Water?
Dirty Dog, yeah. I can't remember.
Dirty Dog Water? Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
that was one of the songs in it, yeah. Dog Water, Dirty Dog Water, Dirty
Yeah.
Dog,
Dirty Dog?
something like that. Yeah.
You know what? What's a highlight for you?
None of it. I mean,
What
seriously, I
are
was
you
so
talking about? Really?
I was
You don't like this album?
Fox in the Hole was okay, or Fire in the Hole was okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I just felt.
I
like,
think Josephine is a great song.
yeah, that was okay. I just didn't like Gary's vocals on over fronting Van Halen at the end of the day. But here's the thing. Even Gary said, if we would have went out, toured the world as me fronting Van Halen, the fans would have been more on board for the next album, because he said we did the Sammy Hagar stuff, we did the David Lee Roth, so I was like a good balance between both decades of.
Have you watched any videos of Gary doing the live?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I was like super impressed. I'm like, this guy's way better in a live setting. And he even said we should have did a tour and then went and did an album. Then we start fresh.
Yeah.
But they did record a second album.
Oh.
With Gary.
With Gary?
Yeah. And the label was like, we're not even gonna go there because the last one bombed so bad. And
Now,
so he bailed. I would love to hear it, just because he said it was even more. It was shorter. It was everything that we're talking about that we'd rather have.
okay.
Yeah, shorter songs, better production, more comfort zone, I guess, too.
First off, I got nothing but respect for Gary.
Yeah.
And I got nothing but respect for Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Right? Even though some people give me a hard time. But, hey, look, Gary is a phenomenal frontman.
Yes.
We've seen him live a couple of times.
Oh, man,
He's
he was so good.
fantastic.
Yeah, so good live.
So, I mean, and I have heard some people say that, hey, Eddie let Gary down on this. He didn't come with the songs. He didn't come with the fire, but I like most of it. In fact, I like pretty much all of it.
It'd be interesting to hear like a remix version, heavily
Hey,
edited.
speaking of which, my buddy Kevin Brown did a complete remix or
that's
rework
right.
of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, that's right.
So there you go. I'm going to put that in the description as well, where you can link in and see. Let us know what you think.
You know what's interesting? We're talking about these disappointing albums and how much we love them, but someone loved them even more to improve on
To
them.
work on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
So, like, we're failing.
Okay, Van Halen.
Yeah, man. Van Halen coming in at 3. Not a Fan Halen. You know what I mean? Okay, so
All right.
Danger, here we're going to talk about our next album.
The 4th most disappointing album.
And we're going to talk about a band that we love. And
Who?
And we also hate sometimes. Mötley Crüe.
Mötley Crüe.
Yeah, man.
Come on, man.
And I know what you're thinking at home. What? Mötley Crüe's had a number of disappointing albums. No, that's not true. It's slightly true. But the album we're going to talk about today is
Well, it's going to be Generation Swine.
Generation Swine.
It's the album that divides a lot of Crüe fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Crasher was saying, like, he hates this album, but we're like...
There's lots of people that hate this album. Look, I'm on X talking. There's lots of people who hate this album. Jay, you know you hate this album. He's messaging me all the time. He's saying this album is garbage. And he's a big Crüe fan. Crüe's his favorite fan. I get it. You know? People, there was a departure. Obviously, Vince is kicked out of the band. We talk about what people don't like about it.
Yep.
They're wanting Vince back. People loved Mötley Crüe.
Yes.
And once Vince was gone, they gave John Corabi a hard time. Probably undeserved.
Oh, absolutely.
But then, what happens? Vince is coming back.
Yeah, man, the world is like...
All the fans.
All the fans are
They're
hugging
ready.
each other. They're ready for the new crew.
Yeah.
The new Millennia crew or whatever.
And Generation Swine comes out.
Yeah, and I went out and bought it. I loved it.
Oh, well, I loved it too. But look, what happens? So the interesting thing is, let's talk about what Mötley Crüe did here. First off, they got an album with 4 pig heads,
Yep.
1 upside down,
Yes.
not showing the faces of the band. Perception.
It's like, the new crew, but who is the crew? Does crew even know who they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
What's
sort of what it felt like.
what's the message we're sending to the fans here?
Yeah, they don't even know what they're doing anymore.
So the album cover is a little strange, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, we pop the album on. What's the first thing you hear?
I gotta find myself some
Just
Yeah,
so you're hearing Nikki Sixx sing.
I know, and that was a bad move, I thought too.
Yeah. We're wanting Vince.
Vince comes in like at the chorus or like the pre-chorus or whatever it is, but when it first comes in, I'm like, what is this? Like, where's the crew? You know what I mean?
Yes. Doesn't sound like Crüe.
No.
Obviously, Nikki's singing, taking the lead vocal for the verse.
Yep.
And Vince doesn't come in till the chorus. And it doesn't really sound like a Mötley Crüe chorus, right?
No, well, here's the thing about this album. Half of it was written with John Corabi. So, like, when I listen to it anyways, I can hear, like, the Corabi songs, or, like, if they were, like, a couple steps, a couple key below, right?
Yeah.
I can hear Corabi's voice coming at me and making sense, right? But when you do it to meet Vince's range, all of a sudden the keys change and it sounds weird. And he's trying to fit his vocals over top of something that should be, like, lower. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I like it too. I like the dynamic. Like, I liked hearing Vince sing differently.
Yes.
But I also kind of like, I love that Corabi Crüe so much that I kind of wanted to hear the second opportunity.
Yeah.
But, okay.
But hey, look, when this came out, you can tell why did it divide fans.
Well,
It's more industrial.
Yeah.
It's more experimental.
Yes.
There ain't no Crüe songs singing about girls, 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 and Wild Side.
It was a little more trying to mature Crüe, hey? But,
Wow.
but here's the
Is
thing
it? Is it a more mature Crüe, or is it more trying to be alternative Crüe?
well, they're trying to be alternative Crüe and fit
Yeah.
in, right? Like every Kiss would always do. Like, hey, we're not Kiss anymore. We got to fit into what's going on. Problem with Generation Swine is the production that does all those production tricks that were popular at the time, like the weird filters on the drums.
That's right.
The vocals all had filters, and the guitars didn't sound like guitars.
Got some fuzz.
Lots
They got
of
some-
they got some fuzz, which is weird for Crüe, right? Because Crüe's like more gain than fuzz, right?
Lots of the drum sounds is like.
Yeah, well, I love the drum sounds on this album.
I do too.
Because you know what, this type of production and editing really only benefited the drums, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the album sounds fantastic.
Yeah, but I love the Frayed, the bass riff. I love the two Generation Swine. Anyone out there, the punk songs.
Yeah.
Even though people are like, oh, it sounds like they're trying to be Blink 182, but like Livewire to me is a punk song. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
It wasn't
Mötley
out
Crüe
of-
started as a punk influence
yeah,
band.
so it didn't really seem like out of the touch for me. For
Nope.
me, the weak part was "Shot at the Devil" '97, which is a stripper remix. Brandon, which was
I like that.
trying to be Beth.
Well, arguably, Brandon is the worst
Worst.
song ever. Like, this is a song, if you're Tommy Lee, write the song, sure. Show it to your kid when he's 14, 15.
They'll
Look, I
still
love
punch
you so
you out.
much. No, but don't put it on an album. Like,
Yeah.
think of Brandon. This guy must be going to, like, parties and stuff, and, like, everyone's like, hey, you want to hear a tune? Let's pop on Brandon again.
Starts in the piano bit.
Right?
Yeah, in the whispery vocals.
I just think, bad choice.
Yeah,
Bad
bad
choice
choice.
to put it on an album.
And he did sort of sing the lead on Beauty.
Yeah,
that was,
yeah.
And I didn't mind that.
I like it.
I didn't
Beauty's
realize
one of
that
my
was
highlights.
That was a single, hey?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I didn't
It
realize
was
that.
all over the radio waves.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Not when I...
Yeah, when I was touring around in
Oh, that's
Ontario
right,
in
you're saying that.
'97, it was constantly, like, Toronto rock radio, it was constantly being
Really?
played.
That's interesting.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Lots of people give Tommy Lee or Nikki Sixx's song a hard time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Rocket Ship.
Oh, I didn't mind that one either.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a little bit of a David Bowie feel. I get
Yeah,
that people don't like
definitely
it.
a
They're,
Bowie
oh,
feel.
this is the worst thing ever. It's only 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, like for me, like yeah, sure, there's some weak parts in this album, but there's more good stuff going on. If you can see past like the sort of cheesiness of the production in some cases, but some of that I love.
Confessions is awesome.
Confessions.
I
is
think
good.
Flush is great.
Yeah. Flush
Glitter.
is good.
I love Glitter.
I thought I was listening to Glitter on the way over. And I
Glitter.
didn't know Bryan Adams wrote that. Hey,
Oh, really?
that's a Bryan Adams tune.
Co-wrote it.
Yeah. Well, anytime Bryan Adams writes a song, I'm like, I always think like, what would the Bryan Adams version be like? You know what I mean?
Well, see, Bryan Adams, he just redid those 2 tunes from Kiss.
Yes. Yeah.
He should redo Glitter.
Glitter.
That'd be hilarious. All right.
But anyways, to end on this album, I think Vince's vocal lines, he's trying to mimic the Corabi tunes. It's hard. I get it.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's better than New Tattoo.
That's exactly it.
New Tattoo's brutal.
New Tattoo. That's what I always think. I'm like, if people wanted Vince back, listen to New Tattoo. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's a true Vince album, right?
Yeah, enjoy that.
Enjoy that. And then,
But then again, I didn't really care for Vince's solo album.
which I did. I really
Some people
enjoyed
did.
that.
Some
Yeah.
people love it. I
Yeah.
get it. But I didn't really care for the solo album. There were some good tracks.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not get a bunch of hate. All of a sudden, you don't like Vince.
You don't like Pauly Shore.
Yeah, but you know, it is what it is. Generation Swine!
Generation Swine. That's a winner in my books. But
Winner. I like it.
Okay, Danger, what are we talking about? Our final
Okay, buddy.
disappointing album of all time.
The final disappointment. Here we are. And it's going to go to Metallica.
All right, I forgot.
That's right.
Yes.
We're talking about Saint Anger.
Saint Anger.
Yeah, probably, arguably, one of the most disappointing albums in Metallica's discography.
People can't stand this album.
And why not?
Well, there's a million different reasons. Okay, so let's look at Metallica. They just came off the Black album. Load, Reload.
Okay,
Right? So they're like, where do we go now? We did our...
so for true diehards, 3 disappointing albums in a row.
Yeah.
Arguably. No,
Yeah.
for me, not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm okay.
Load had some good moments. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, Black Album, first off, I think it's a fantastic
Yeah.
record. I get that it was a departure from
Yeah.
Justice, right? And Justice is my favorite Metallica album. Load, I still think there's some pretty good songs.
It's just like straight ahead. It's like not too fast. Like it's right in a good spot for Metallica.
Yeah,
Right?
I dig it.
It's
I
a little
dig
more
it.
hard rock, hey? But
That's right. More bluesy hard rock influence,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Reload sounds like B-sides from Load.
Yeah, well, I think
Right.
it was supposed to be a double album, hey?
Yeah.
Those are all like why would you remix Unforgiven and Wherever I May Roam or whatever else songs are on that album put out? Like, it didn't seem to need it.
I don't think there was any remixes. No,
No?
not on Reload. No,
Wasn't there?
no.
No, Unforgiven. There's 1 and 2.
Well, there's an Unforgiven 2. There's an Unforgiven 3 too. They have 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on Load and Reload, aren't they?
No.
I
Oh,
can't remember.
no.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Fuck, I didn't-
Unforgiven 2 is awesome.
Really? I didn't buy
I like
any
it.
of those Load albums. I didn't even like them. So, it didn't matter.
Anyways, so we're talking about Saint Anger.
Saint Anger, but Saint Anger was the one Metallica album I did buy. And
Okay.
you were like, why?
But let's talk about the hype. Was there hype around this album?
Okay, Jason Newsted quit the band. He's like, F those guys. And then they put out a documentary why they couldn't communicate.
That came out after. Talk about the
But
hype
it's-
in this album.
But it
though.
sort of framed what was going on, right? Why did it suck is because I feel like Hetfield's lyrics were kind of like depressing, you know? It's like
yeah, but that's not the hype. They didn't hype the album by saying Hetfield's
Oh, yeah.
lyrics.
Well, yeah, they're like, we're a modern rock band with no solos.
No, but that wasn't the hype either.
What was the hype?
The hype in this album was huge. It was going to be back true
Oh, yeah,
form.
back-
These
right.
guys, they were getting away from the commercial stuff that they've
yeah.
done. They were going back to their thrash roots. This is what every magazine publication, everything was talking about. Every Metallica fan, I think, was pumped.
I was.
And we were so pumped that I remember we had a buddy, because only one buddy could afford the album, and he bought the album. And we had like a listening party where there was like 7 of us sitting around.
Oh, yeah.
Popped the album on, and after about 3-4 songs, we're like, what is going on? Right?
That would have been so much fun, man.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was. Now, have I grown to like the album? Sure. I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can like certain things. But from a public standpoint, now I'll talk about disappointing.
First of all, they just sort of latched on to like a new metal sound, which was popular at the time. So I felt like the
Yes.
guitars were tuned down to C sharp so low that it wasn't Metallica anymore, right? They're playing way
Is
down
that what
here.
they're tuned to?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
C sharp. So some of the riffs just sounded like mud to my ears, right?
The production is muddy.
Yeah, yeah.
All over.
And
the
I
place.
was like, why? Like Bob Rock produces some of the greatest albums in the world. Is he deaf?
He nailed it with the drum tone.
Yeah. Well, what's with that snare sound? So at first I didn't mind it because like I listened to this album and I'm like, okay, Metallica switched gears. They are going back to their thrashier roots because to me it was like a hardcore punk album.
Yes.
Thrash, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They took out the stuff I didn't like, which was all the wah guitar solos that probably would have been on it.
Okay. Sure.
So the songs,
Which I mean was a little bit of an argument and contention. I think when you look back now, I think Kirk Hammett was.
he was right.
He was a little pissed.
He was
He
like,
wanted
"We're
some
Metallica.
solos."
Why don't we just do solos? Why don't
Yeah.
we just be Metallica?" So he was actually right. They should have just stuck to their roots, right? But they're trend jumping and like solos aren't cool. Let's leave them all out.
Yeah.
So instead of solos, what do? You put in a riff for like 3 minutes that goes nowhere.
Yeah. Lots of
Lots of riffs that
muddy guitars.
muddy guitars.
The drums sound like crap.
Yeah.
And you could have crappy drum sounds for 1 or 2 songs, but
Yeah.
you get into the 4th or 5th song, and like the 4th or 5th song on this album, you're 45 minutes in already.
I know, right? Yeah.
This is like, it's way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Way too long.
And I don't know how long it took them to write this album, but it sounds like they wrote it all within 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then just edited all the parts together.
Because The songs all kind of sound the same.
Same, yeah.
They all have the same feeling. Even some of the riffs, it's like, okay, so it's like,
Yeah, right.
and then they'll just speed it up on the next song.
Yep.
And it's like, isn't this the exact same riff that I listened to with the same crappy tinny drum sound
Yeah.
and the same? And Larzy is always doing that.
He was playing like this so fast that it sounded like sloppy
Yeah.
on a couple songs. I'm like, he just sounds like he's a shitty drummer.
Well, he doesn't sound like the best drummer.
Yeah, well, sure enough. But there's like I liked Invisible Kids, Dirty Windows. You know, like there's
Is it Dirty Windows?
Dirty Windows. I can't remember.
Maybe Dirty Windows.
Saint Anger. You know, Sweet Amber.
Sweet anger round my
I love Saint Anger, but like to me, I really like the hardcore sort of punk. Like this song, the album reminds me of more punk than metal.
Yes,
and I'm a punk guy, so I like that. But the snare sound, you know what? I listened to it yesterday. Instead of like a snare coming on a 2 and a 4 and it stops, it's like it rings over like it's a half note, right? So it rings like 2 like.
Did you listen to the remix version,
2, 3,
or did
3.
you listen to the original mix? Because the original mix is different. There's a remix
Oh,
version
really?
out that the drums sound way better.
Oh really?
Yeah, if you listen to the remix, it sounds way better. The original mix is brutal.
Yeah, because like that.
All
that,
you focused on was the ping,
that
ping,
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 that ping
ping.
goes beyond that, so it just stops just in time for him to hit it again. So it's almost like this din. Hey, that
It drives me mentally crazy.
Yeah, it did. I
Yeah.
can't listen to this anymore because it's like ding, 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 ding.
And the album is like, how many songs is it? Is it like 11 songs?
Something like that. Yeah,
And it's 71 minutes.
it's too long. Yeah.
And there's not a guitar solo. Like, this is okay. So had they done this, look, and there's some really good stuff.
Yep.
As far as whatever, there's some high moments. They could have shaved 3 minutes almost off every song,
easily.
and made for a really decent listen.
Would
If
have been
that's the approach they wanted to go to.
a
But it
better
just
comeback,
sounds.
yeah.
It sounds messy. It sounds
Sloppy. It sounds
Yeah.
tinny,
unorganized.
unorganized. The lyrics I thought were weak, and I'm not a lyrics guy, but I'm
The
kind of
lyrics are brutal.
Yeah.
This is actually the worst lyrics, and that's my downfall of this
Yeah.
album. The lyrics, it sounds like almost like a child nursery rhyme, like with his rhymes and stuff.
His rhymes. I was thinking the same when I heard it. Listened to it last week. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
this guy's so uninspired right now, which he was. He was dealing with his alcohol problems and band problems and everything else, right?
and if you really want to watch people cry about their lives, watch Some Kind of Monster, the documentary, right? Wow.
I thought.
Tell us again about your feelings, James.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but that's not how I feel.
Yeah.
I was like, who cares, man?
Yeah.
You're Metallica. Like, get over it. you
It's
know?
not to me what fans were looking for,
No.
right?
It's too bad they missed the window, but they also had like a good core of songs in there that they could have been added.
It could have been a good album.
Could have been a good album.
Yeah. There's some good stuff. There's some high moments.
Yep.
But even the high moments, they get overshadowed by how long it drags.
Yep.
That's the big thing. The big problem with that album is it just drags.
And this should be a lesson. Anytime a band tries to be current and try to fit in with what's popular versus what made them popular and what made them fit in,
Sometimes you got to follow AC/DC's formula.
just stick to the plan. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You'll get better respect down the road than versus trying to like always try to fit in all the time.
I think
works
so.
out. Yeah. Well, here we are. We're beaking all these bands, but we're also like fans enough that we recognize there's some gold in all of these albums.
Ah, there's some good stuff. Let us know what you think about some of these albums. Maybe you're a big fan.
Yeah, or maybe you want to add a couple that we missed. Like we talked about
There's
Cyberpunk.
tons. There's tons. Look at Alice Cooper, Da. I mean, there's a ton of bad albums out there. They always talk about Technical Ecstasy from Black Sabbath.
Okay, yes, I would
Right?
agree with that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a ton more, but what would you tell us is a disappointing album?
And what's a disappointing album that collectively, but is actually pretty good? I'm kind of curious about that one too,
Yeah.
because
Because someone somewhere likes everything,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As we do. I like some stuff on all these albums.
Oh man, yeah. There's some good stuff.
Yeah.
But, like as music fans, hey, like come on, bands. Like, they're so like into their shit, hey, that they can't see like the big picture anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
They get stuck in their bubble.
Yeah.
Their Bob Rock bubble.
Bob Rock bubble. Well, we're gonna just play it. We'll just edit it later.
Hey, Bob, take another bass solo.
Okay, I gotta just say how disappointed I was when Metallica was like had Bob Rock playing bass and he's like And I'm just like, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Why?
Man.
I'm sure he's a good musician and all, but he's
The
doesn't
most
have that
disappointing
attitude.
thing was that stupid documentary.
Yeah.
That was the most disappointing thing for me, anyway.
You know what's disappointing was all those bass players had the opportunity at $1 million, and none of them fucking sat at home and worked on their riffs. They,
I
they
know.
just showed up. They couldn't
Except Robert.
Yeah.
He came in and nailed Blackened.
even. He's like, "What do you want to
That's
start with? What do you want to start with? Battery."
Oh, yeah, Battery. That was the one. Battery, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like hammering it. Like his little
Just nailed it.
goofy walk. that he
Lars
does,
Lars couldn't even keep up. That was the best part. Lars was like, "What
Yeah.
else you know? What else you know?"
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, Robert.
Yay! All right.
And who sucked? Who else? It was Twiggy Ramirez, right? He came
Yeah.
in, he barely knew what he was doing.
Didn't even look like he was.
Come on, Twigs.
Looked like he was there from the catering department.
Yeah.
He brought some sandwiches for the band.
All right.
All right.
Give us a like, give us a subscribe, share our videos. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Do this.
Living it all the way. Time to fly, hit the sky like a
These bands we're going to talk about today are world renowned for a million different reasons, and then they put out this terrible piece of music. And I tell you, every time I listen to these albums, I'm disappointed. Disappointed they recorded it, disappointed I'm listening to it, and disappointed I'm wasting my time. Danger, what do you think? Too negative?
Sometimes our heroes let us down.
Sometimes our heroes are zeros.